My book, The Beauty Equation. I've been thinking about this book for many, many years, and one of the reasons why I wanted to write it, absolutely, is because I have two little children just like that, actually. A little boy who's 4.5, and a little girl who's 1.5. And over the past few years, they started to ask me questions as they're growing up. So certainly my little boy, about what life was about, what I did for a profession, and took a keen interest, my son particularly, in everything I was doing. And as the questions came, I began to question myself too, as to, what is it that I really do look for? And I get every day emails from people from all over the world. My show plays now in 140 odd countries, believe it or not. And we get emails from young people all over the world asking about modeling, asking about beauty. Do they have it? Do they not have it? What does it take? And I started to really think about it. What does it take? What is it that I really look for? As much as I talk about tips on top model and all the rest of it, what is it that truly makes a great picture? What is it that I'm looking for? And why is it? And when I started to write down a list, at the end of my list, I remember this happened about 2 years ago, there wasn't a single thing I'd written that was really skin deep. There was nothing there in my list that as a photographer I searched for to make a beautiful picture that had anything to do with the fact of the way you looked physically, in any shape or form. And it actually sort of surprised me, it surprised my wife, who's a makeup artist and used to be a model, and that we both went through and we're like, you know what, this is true, this is what we look for. And the things on my list were things like confidence, they were honesty, they were charm, they had things to do with motivation, spontaneity, authenticity. Because obviously, the physicality of a person is interesting, but it doesn't make for a beautiful picture. It doesn't create an iconic image. The life we lead, the people we are, those are the things that ultimately make a beautiful picture, create a beautiful life. And as a portrait photographer who specializes in fashion, that was always what I was looking for, without half the time even truly realizing it. That when I was doing a casting and maybe 200 girls would come and see us for a job for some designer, is it because this one girl that we picked, is she the most beautiful one of the lot? Of course not. I mean, it wasn't that. It was the essence of that person. And of course, I'm not to say that every girl that gets the job is the most physically, or her inner beauty is more beautiful than anybody else, but there was something there, some spark, something about that person that drove us to hire her. Now, in the book, there's a chapter on spontaneity, and there's a particular model in there that is a lady called Pat Cleveland. I'm not sure how many of you know who she is or not, but she was the first black lady on the cover of Vogue. She was Halston's muse, and she is one of the most dynamic people I've ever met. She's about 60 now. I photographed her many times. And in the book, in fact, the editors helped us with the pictures for the book. None of us could decide which picture I had taken to put in because she's so amazing. And every time I've shot with her, we have such fun with the photos because she's full of life. She's one of those people that comes onto set, the moment she walks in the door, says hello to everybody, no matter who you are, no matter whether you're the receptionist to the most important person, she doesn't forget a soul. And you may think, well, of course, that's the way we should all be. But believe it or not, and especially not in my business, a lot of people don't do that. They head just for the people who they think are important, and the rest of the, it's okay, whatever. Now that happens a lot in life in general. We often just take it for granted. But it's so important that we don't do that. That burning bridges is not just is it bad for one's career, it should be just the fact of life that we should be charming to everyone and look everyone in the eye. And those are also often what I have been looking for and what I look for. Now in the book, I talk about confidence a lot. Confidence, I think, is key, first of all, to taking a beautiful picture, but to success in life in general. And one of the, when I photograph anyone from sort of actors to, various celebrities, whether they be politicians or musicians or successful models, something that you always find that resonates with all of them tends to be a sort of sense of confidence. And confidence is one of those things that when people do feel insecure about who they are, it's the one thing that they tend to lack. And it's a sort of often a cheap trick too in photography to give someone confidence, because You know, people are like, oh, you know, they may be confident in life, but you pick up that camera, you aim it at them. I don't have my picture taken, you know. And then you get it with actors, people who are in front of cameras all their, you know, moving cameras all their life, but that's a moving camera and they can ignore it. But when you're a portrait photographer, it's you I want to photograph. I'm looking at you, and you need them to open up. And it's tough for some people because it's too revealing. It's painful. It's awkward. It's and I would imagine I don't know how many of you in this room, but I would say at least 50% of you would probably say, oh, even if you don't mind, you probably don't always love the results, and therefore you're like, oh, well, I don't like looking at the pictures afterwards, even if the process wasn't so bad. And I hear all of these sides. So I have the book. One of the fun things about the book, I'm not sure how many of you have read it or looked at it yet. At the end of every chapter, I challenge the reader to photograph themselves in a form of sort of phototherapy, to look at themselves through video, through photo, and written challenges, to embody the essence of each chapter. And there's fun challenges, both which are a little skin deep or have immediate reaction, because the reality is there's some practical tips there as well, to things which are a little more lofty, and need you to really think about what we're talking about, what we're discussing, and obviously these are some of the challenges a little bit more long-winded as a result. But for example, in the confidence challenge, there's one which is very simple. It's one I've used many, many times. It pretty much always works. I like to say it always works. And I call it in the book, for lack of a better term, the golden moment. And what it is I've dealt with, especially sort of if you're dealing with someone who's around anywhere in their teens to early 30s, and you say, okay, they're not getting the picture, they feel awkward, they don't know where to look, and they're like, timid, they don't know what to do. Imagine this. You are an Olympic athlete. You've worked hard all your life to get to where you are. Hours of training, every day, sweat and tears. It's that moment. You've won a gold medal. You're at the Olympics. You're standing on the podium. The wind is blowing. They're about to place the medal around your neck. Your national anthem is playing. Your flag of your country is rising on the flagpole. You know your mother is crying in the wings. Your country is, applauding you. You can't help but stand up straight. And when people listen, they really take it in. It's still difficult in a room full of people, but when you're one-on-one and it's just me and you, and I'm looking at you and I'm looking at you, and you see people, I've seen them go like this, and they literally go, and snap, there's your photo. Okay, so it's a little bit of instant confidence. As soon as I've done it, they're like, oh, what happened? But I get my picture. So there's little tricks, there's funny little things like that which you can use as a very quick reaction, but obviously that's not what's going to give you confidence in the long run either. But I do talk about that.